I'm reclining, I think he meant rescinding, my past support for Donald Trump. Anyone that was involved in anything to do with that island and what they were doing, I just can't support in any way. What if they were involved with raiding the island? What if they were involved with handing over information that led to this person being prosecuted? What if they were involved in a way that was combating this island?
Yeah.
And the only strong evidence that we have as a matter of record that is admissible is that Donald Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and Donald Trump cooperated with authorities. That matters. So the Epstein file. People are like, why didn't you talk about it? Well, because I will tell you this. A lot of people have been misleading you, and by design. I recreated the Epstein cell. We did here down to the millimeter, and we used a force meter where I tried to break my neck. I wore a neck guard to see if I could apply the amount of force. You can go and watch it. I do not believe the story that we were told about Jeffrey Epstein. It is technically possible, but unbelievably improbable, especially when you consider the surrounding circumstances.
Yeah.
That is my opinion. I also believe that there was absolutely a blackmail operation going on, probably a litany of people involved. I can't prove that, and I'm willing to bet that a lot of the probably most usable evidence has since been destroyed. I want to be honest with you because I can't prove these things. I can prove the amount of force that's needed to be generated. You can go and watch that. But that is my opinion. Everything else, I am going to provide the links, references, because this is one of those situations where purveyors of misinformation, they are having a field day. This is their Super Bowl. So please be careful, because when emails are taken out of context, when emails are mixed with notes to self, it's really easy to sell you a lie. I think a lot of people are implicated. Certainly those who you already know in the Democrat Party, and I think some in the Republican Party absolutely as well. My opinion is that Donald Trump worked with the authorities, and really the only evidence that we have regarding Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein is that he booted him, wasn't a fan of him, and a lot of crazy people have tried to tar and feather him. That's my opinion. So last week, big files dump. Deputy AG Todd Blanche said that the review is over. That is disappointing, I know, to a lot of people, myself included. What do we learn? Mostly, like I said, that it's difficult to discern fact from fiction.
The opposite of what people were hoping.
I do have a good mirror.
He likes a good mirror.
He does. Just
Let's
like be honest. I also like a good mirror, but that doesn't mean I actually don't like mirrors. You know, I look in a mirror once a day after the shower. That's it. One time I looked at the end of the day, I was like, oh my God, I've been bleeding all day. I should have checked a mirror. So let's go through this. Again, references, link in the description. The Bill Gates story. So a lot of you have been told, hey, there's an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Bill Gates regarding antibiotics that he was supplied with, or Epstein supplied to Bill Gates because of Russian prostitutes. That may or may not be true, but that's not actually what's in the file. So right. Epstein drafted notes, meaning these weren't sent to Bill Gates. And just so you know, I really don't like Bill Gates. He's a wiener. And what the draft, I should say, not email, was indicating was that Bill Gates maybe got an STD from Russian girls, that he requested antibiotics to surreptitiously give to his wife, unbeknownst to her. There's no corroboration. These are entirely writings of Epstein's own doing. And to me, that's interesting in and of itself, because it suggests that he was building a backlog for blackmail. And the fact that it wasn't sent means that this is probably something he was holding in reserve as leverage. That is an opinion. The actual note, you can go and read, check the reference. And I will say some of the notes still have us scratching our heads. Yeah, well, you know, you were about to say something before we had to.
Well, I was going to say it's an
deliver
email
the news
from himself to himself.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
how
note.
He kept a note basically to kind of. It seems like it's like, well, this will be discoverable at some point, so you guys want to be careful. I've got an email that says all this stuff about you, Bill.
Well, it's about you. That last one was about you.
No, that's not true.
That last one.
Clearly, I mean, you just saw the tape.
That last one. It doesn't mean anything. Everyone likes to admonish
No, it
you.
doesn't. Yeah.
I, too, like to admonish you, along with enjoying large showers and a good mirror.
Got admonished by Jeffrey Epstein.
You got admonished by Tim.
Yeah. See, and it doesn't
Tim.
mean that you are on board with Jeffrey Epstein. This is one that is interesting to me. Check the references. Is Elon Musk in the files? Emails show that Musk tried to arrange a visit to Little St. James Island in 2012, 2013. The visit never happened due to scheduling, and emails would suggest that they would act as evidence. But the emails do contradict a claim that Musk made earlier, where he said that Epstein tried repeatedly to get me to visit his island. I declined. So is this a smoking gun? No, not really. It just tells you that sometimes people spin things or paint it in a way that isn't necessarily representative of reality. This is one where I would have follow-up questions. I think that it warrants this. If he said, hey, this guy repeatedly tried to get me to the island, I declined, and then we go, well, hold on a second, it looks here like maybe you were thinking about it and kind of trying to schedule it until it fell through. Can you give us the straight scoop? I think that warrants a follow-up. I think if we're going to be consistent across the board, Elon Musk warrants it. By the way, tune in 11 a.m. Eastern. If you guys are watching this on clips, you get to tune in live and interact with us. Yes.
So Elon has actually been I agree with your take, but Elon has been very vocal about releasing all of the files. He also knows this information's in the files, so he knows he's going to have to answer these questions. He probably thinks he can just kind of deal with it and be like, no, I was never interested, and it was just scheduling. So I feel like, yes, a follow-up is warranted, but I feel like a lot of what we see is just people like either on timelines getting it a little wrong, maybe misleading because they don't want to be tied to Jeffrey Epstein and there was a conversation or something like that happened. But he has been pretty consistent on release the files.
Right.
Even though it might hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, I still think it warrants the follow-up questions.
I agree.
Yeah, but the story you gave isn't really
why did you tell us that story then?
straightforward.
Right.
And given Elon's public track record with, and I don't mean underage ladies in any way, but, you know.
He's
younger,
prolific.
Yes.
That's a good way to say it.
He gets his.
His seed is sown.
We're not advocating for that. We're just
one that surprised me here. Jason Calacanis, who's been on the show.
Not surprised.
More or less. There were some documents that resurfaced contradicting some of his claims that he only knew Epstein in the 90s.
I love Palmer Luckey going after him.
I mean, is it a smoking gun? No. But this also, sometimes what just happens is people go, oh, gosh, I went to a dinner with him or I was at a function with him and I don't want people to make a mountain out of a molehill. When was that? It could have been the 90s and they get their timelines wrong. Follow-ups would clarify that. So I do think it's important to, and this is across the board, I do think follow-up questions based on real information, not based on self-notes.
Right.
I don't think it would be fair to ask Bill Gates about a note that Epstein sent to himself. I don't think it would be fair to ask President Trump to waste his time addressing a claim that was already pretty much considered to be non-credible. But if it's somebody's own words that contradict a matter of record that is provable, I think a good indicator is, will these people show up and address it? And does it pass the sniff test? President Trump, because you have some idiots out there going, President Trump is a pedophile.
Right.
There's no evidence of that whatsoever. And again, before we get to the information in here, don't you think the left would have used this? Don't you think in the Biden administration? I mean, just think of our intelligence communities. Why wouldn't they? They're going to impeach him over January 6th peacefully and patriotically. They're going to impeach, but they're not if there's strong evidence that he was involved in sex trafficking.
The best they got was falsified documents.
Right.
Yeah. That would have been the October surprise.
Right.
For sure.
Absolutely would have been. So there are mentions of Trump in these documents. And again, these are just documents. This is a collection of information. Some of it is taken from Jeffrey Epstein's own files, computers. Some of it is taken from other statements. This happens in any case, and consistently, some information is deemed to be credible and some information is deemed to not be credible. So something that people left out when circulating these allegations, they actually cropped this part that immediately followed the accusations. It said complainant was spoken to and deemed not credible. Additional research showed 3 separate incidents involving police which requested mandatory psychiatric evaluations. You know, there are people out there, and the police refer to them as serial confessors. There are people who get a thrill out of confessing to things like they didn't do. That's why sometimes people go, well, he confessed. Well, there are a lot of people who confess. They will confess, and it's verifiably false, and they'll keep coming back in to go, no, I did it. I committed the rape, or I committed the murder. Like, this is something that people need to understand. And there are people out there who make false accusations all the time. For more proof, see Me Too. This is an anonymous source that was deemed not credible, and there was a record of multiple requests from police for psychiatric evaluations. If someone right now who hates you just said, you know what, I'm going to go to the authorities and say that you raped a minor, and the police say, oh, well, this person's absolutely insane, and you have an alibi where they can go, here he is on security camera footage at that exact time, not even in the state, do you think it would be fair 5, 10, 15 years from now for that to be a matter of record? And people say, well, why not this? Why didn't he ever address this?
Right. Yeah, the claim's out there.
You may not have even known about it. And this is the problem with following a lot of Johnny-come-latelys in the space. People like Ryan Garcia tweeting out or posting this. He wrote, "This is my public declaration and announcement. I'm reclining," I think he meant rescinding, "my past support for Donald Trump. Anyone that was involved in anything to do with that island and what they were doing, I just can't support in any way." Okay, before we get to the next part, what if they were involved with raiding the island? What if they were involved with handing over information that led to this person being prosecuted? What if they were involved in a way that was combating this island?
Yeah.
And the only strong evidence that we have as a matter of record that is admissible is that Donald Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and Donald Trump cooperated with authorities. That matters. So when people just say, I can't, anyone who's involved in any capacity, well, technically people were involved with the Nazis if they were killing them. They were at war with them. There's an involvement there. We have to be mindful of our words. You want to say children need to be protected? I agree. Everyone knew better. F that. Justice for all. Clearly, everyone didn't know better because this guy got away with it for a very long time.
Yeah.
They started to know better after President Trump cooperated. And this doesn't mean that Donald Trump is a saint, and it doesn't mean that he's perfect. But on this issue, I think anyone using it to turn on him is someone who you don't want in your ranks anyway. If there's any proof that Donald Trump was actually involved with this, if there's any actual substantiated proof, I will be the first one to call it out. And by the way, same thing with Bill Gates. I can't stand Bill Gates. There are very few people I dislike more than Bill Gates. But an email that Jeffrey Epstein sent to himself, known liar, is not something I'm going to use to say that Bill Gates is clearly a practicing pedophile.
Yeah.
Comment, does that make sense? Is that fair? And I'd highly encourage you to go check out the references because I see so much deliberately misleading information out there. And I'll tell you, it makes me sad.
Well, it pisses me off because it doesn't actually help get to justice. What it does is it gives people an excuse. There was one about they were eating the entrails of a human baby that they had sacrificed or something like that. And it's like, well, if you go read the email that they're referencing, it doesn't say anything about that.
Right.
And so all the left has to do is go, well, see, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Right. And so you don't have to believe anything that's there. Anybody who wants to just cover this stuff up. We don't want just random information. When we say release the files, everybody is talking about there is a person serving prison time. Why? Mm-hmm. Why is she in jail? Who were the clients that were doing this? What evidence did you have that this was going on, that she was facilitating this stuff?
Right.
Those people need to pay.
Yes.
That is what we're saying. And this is not accomplishing that.
No.
Sorry, it's just muddying the waters even further. So.
And then you have some people going oh, really? Well, what part of this file explains about how he died? It's like, guys, do you understand there's a difference between this collection of a data dump of files that may exist and an actual investigation into the death of someone?
Right.
They're not the same thing. All of your speeding tickets, your moving infractions, parking tickets, whatever disputes you've had in the past, that's not the same as a file that may or may not exist should you choose to sexually traffic somebody. It wouldn't be relevant. It's not the same file. It's different files. Oh, you're still here? And you're still watching this on YouTube? You've probably noticed something is missing by now. I'm not here. That's because the Live Daily Show is now streaming exclusively on Rumble weekdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in there, where nothing is censored.